What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another week of Kids World Home Edition. It's good to be back. I'm sorry about last week. We didn't put up a lesson because I was just caught up with work and I had a few things I had to finish and I didn't get to study very well, and that's not fair to y'all for me not being able to study and just kind of winging it. So I never want to do that to you. I want it to be a studied lesson, one that's taught well. And so that's why we skipped last week. This week is a really, really cool lesson. And it is relevant to today, in today's age. It's about the Samaritan woman. Now, we've heard this story many, many times. And the cool thing about the story is I could hear it and listen to it several more. So it's really cool that I get to teach this lesson. The Samaritans and the Jews did not get along. They weren't friends. Okay? The Jews thought they were much higher than the Samaritans. So much so that they would call Samaritans dogs. Okay, now dogs, back then, that was a huge insult. That was pretty much calling people trash. People aren't trash. People are people. No matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter what you look like, you're a human being. Now, Jesus saw that, and Jesus is spreading the message of love. Love others. Love. So what does he do? They have to travel. And the only way is either go through Samaria or around. Now, going around would add several days to the trip because it's a long trip to go around. Jesus tells his disciples we're going straight through. The disciples were kind of shocked at this information. What do you mean we're going to go through Samaria? We don't mix with these people. But Jesus, showing his love and his compassion for others, had a mission that he had to accomplish. One person that he needed to reach, just like us. Sometimes we'll be called into places that are uncomfortable, maybe areas that we're not sure of, maybe even some areas that we don't feel safe. But there's a reason to all of it. Because Jesus tells us that even if one soul gets saved, everything's worth it. So here they go through Samaria, and they stop for a break. The disciples leave to go grab some meal. And while he's there, Jesus spots a Samaritan woman at a well. Yeah, I believe that's what it is. He goes and asks her, "Can you get me a cup of water?" Now, how does she respond? First, she's taken aback. She's shocked that this Jewish man would first of all be talking to a woman, much less a Samaritan woman, to get a cup of water. So she's taken aback by it. She's shocked. And she's like, "Do you know who I am? I'm a Samaritan woman." Jesus goes on and talks to her and shares with her about water that she can drink and that she'll never thirst again. Now, that's really cool to think about because I don't know about you, but when I wake up in the middle of the night, I love me a good glass of water. It can be cold, it can be lukewarm, it can be room temperature. But when I am in the middle of the night waking up with a dry mouth, water is it. I love it. So hearing about this water that you would only have to drink once and never be thirsty again? Yes, please. Put me on that list. I want it. And Jesus starts to explain where she can get this water. That he's the only one that can give you this water. The story goes through and we find out that the woman is living with a man. She says that she's not married. Jesus knows this before even seeing the man or knowing about him. He already knows. Why? Because Jesus is all-knowing. And he says, you're living with someone, and it's not even your husband, and not even many before. So she has had many, many husbands. And this is her most recent one, and she's not even married to him. Now that right there is huge in this culture, because Jesus, knowing this information, has a decision to make. Okay? He can bring it up and get her in big, big, big trouble. But why does he bring this information up? He's bringing this information up to prove who he is. To prove that he is Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Because who else knows that kind of information? Maybe not even her early husbands know that, or her later husbands know that information, that she's been married before. Maybe they do, and they just kept it quiet. I don't know. But if they kept quiet, how would Jesus know? The only way he would know is if he was Jesus Christ, the Messiah, to know, to see her past and future. So here she is, shocked at this man who knows her living condition. And then he tells her about who he is. At this point, she knows. You know who I am. She's shocked by it. And Jesus shares her way and shows the way to eternal life, that he is the living water. Now, what does this have to do with us? What does this whole story have to do with us? The Samaritan woman that Jesus ran into on purpose, because he knew that he was going to, talking to her, telling her that he's the living water, telling her that she's had, telling her about her past. What is the whole point of this story for us? Well, there's many points to this story. The first thing, and this is how it's relevant today, is love. Love is the biggest message we can send about Jesus. You see, Jesus didn't care that she was Samaritan. The Jews thought they were better than Samaritans. Jesus was a Jew. And him talking to this lady shocked the lady. But he didn't care. Why? Because he looked past all that and saw her soul that was in need of help, in need of eternal life. Love is the way to reach. In today's world, we're in a big mess. People are angry at other people because of what they have, what they look like, what their race is, what their size is, what gender they are, what's their job, where they live, are they a citizen or not a citizen, so much stuff. What would Jesus do in this situation? I think he would love. So how does this apply to us? Love. Look past the outside and look at the inside. People are hurting all over the world. Some don't even know that they're hurting. They're lost. And Jesus has placed us here on this earth. Those who have accepted him now have a mission to share the gospel with others, to share hope with others. Think about it this way. Life is like a big, big desert. And all of us are born into that desert. Now we can drink our water, which can be things like a job, friendship, money, toys, a brand new car, family. All of those things we can say is water. But what happens in a desert? It's hot. We get thirsty. Life is that desert. And we try to quench our thirst with the things around us. with the people around us. We try so hard to quench that thirst. When Jesus, being the living water, the water that the moment you drink you never thirst again, is always there. So many people are in this desert not knowing why they're so thirsty. Why can't they just ever be quenched? Why is it they drink all this water and yet it's never enough? It's because they don't have Jesus. But how are they supposed to know about this living water, just like the Samaritan woman? She knew about water. She had a well in her front yard. But she didn't know about the living water. We know about the living water. So it is our duty, it's our job to go out into this desert called life and to share our water with those who are in need. To share Jesus Christ with those who don't have them. And how do we do that? Jesus gave us examples in this story. The first one is love. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what people look like. I get it. Some people might look scary. Some people might look really nice. Some people might look mean. Some people the world says aren't pretty. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what color our skin is or what size and shape we are. Love. Second thing, judge. This woman had many, many husbands before the one that she was living with. The world would judge her, saying that you're doing something wrong. Even some Christians would judge her by saying you're not supposed to get a divorce. You're not supposed to be living this way. But Jesus looked past that. He knew what she was doing. He knew the life that she lived. And yet, even then, he still shared with her. So that's our second thing. Love. The second thing, don't judge. Don't judge. Because we've all been in the same boat. Maybe not in the marriage boat. But we've all done things that are worthy of judgment. And third, patience. Patience. Jesus was there for a little bit talking to her. We will need to be patient with people. Because not always will they accept the first time. But if they don't, that doesn't mean that we just revert back into our old ways. And that we start judging and not loving people. Patience. Patience. Guys, I love you. I miss you. And I'll see you next week. Y'all take care.